Cricut paper trimmer. Around 20 bucks, $22, whatever. And it works very well. I've had one for quite a while here, and I've used it quite a bit, and I've even replaced the cutter once. So I happened to see on Amazon that they had a really cheap set. And it even came with a bunch of weeding tools, and that's what's right here. That's what we're going to take a look at coming up. I'm Roger. Welcome to what I call the loft above the shop. It's a rainy day out there. I'm working on some stuff for an upcoming craft show that I don't normally do craft shows, but I've been invited to this one, so I need to produce a bunch of inventory, and I've got a bunch of things printing, and I've got a lot of cutting to do. And a few days ago, I happened to notice on Amazon that they had this set, which is not only a paper trimmer, comes with 2 spare cutters in addition to the cutter that's already in it, plus a bunch of weeding tools that come in this little zipper bag here. I haven't even opened this up yet because this just came. So what do we get in here for this? Well, you get a, I don't know, I guess you could call that a scraper, whatever. Nice little squeegee, felt on one side, plastic on the other. Useful for vinyl, with a little vinyl squeegee thing. And we get a ruler that is metric, 20 centimeters, that would be 200 millimeters for those that are not familiar with metric. There's a US on the other side. Trying to put this open and find out. Yes, on the other side we have inches, for those of you that are not familiar with the metric system. And we have couple different pairs of tweezers, a little prong, a little teeny pair of scissors. You can see some of that there. And we have a spatula. We have a, well, a lot of people call it an X-Acto knife, but that's a brand name. This is actually what I would call a hobby knife. And a set of weeding tools, which look a lot like dental picks, but actually, dental picks make good weeding tools. When you're weeding vinyl, especially if you get into the really small letters and you have little small details to weed out, these work, or actual dental picks work very well, and it looks like these will also do the job. So how well is this paper trimmer going to work? This other stuff here is kind of self-explanatory. It is what it is. And nice little storage thing here, although I do have a rack for couple racks sitting around here for my different weeding tools and that, but we'll get this paper trimmer out, we'll give it a try, and we'll see how it compares to the Cricut. This does come with some directions on the back here, although it's actually pretty self-explanatory. Operating instructions, the special feature. You cut angles. Yeah, you can do that with the Cricut too. And if you need to see it in other languages, that's on the inside. Let's get this guy out of here. Okay, here's where you would be cutting your, fold this out to cut your angles, and you can fold that out to use it for a ruler. So it would set like so, your table. And the cutter, of course, moves back and forth in the slot, and this should hinge open, and it does. So now we'll compare that to the Cricut. Here's the Cricut, same type of thing. Got a little bit longer length to it, but it also works just the same. Although to cut angles with this, you have to be, you can set this to a certain place, but you need a protractor to go with it. This here already has the lines on the bed, so yeah, that's kind of handy. Although I rarely do angles, I'm usually doing straight cuts. So I have a whole bunch of sublimation prints I need to cut. We'll find out how well this works. I'm doing a tremendous number of coffee mugs, and I need to trim my paper down. And if you've ever used a paper trimmer with sublimation prints and happen to drag that cutter too close to the graphic, it will ruin it. That made a nice clean cut there. And it cuts just fine in both directions. There is a ruler along here, although it is metric on the cutter side. As you go across the top, it does have SAE markings. SAE is the US, or in inches, along with metric. So there's one of many that I need to cut yet. So how well do the weeding tools work? Well, we've got them laying right here. So we have this one here with a couple of, got this one here with a couple little different hooks on it. Got this here, which is more of a little spatula on each end. We have this one here, got a 90-degree hook and a straight hook. So what do I usually use? Well, the old standby is the Cricut, and of course the tips always get bent. I don't care what brand you got, you're going to end up bending the tips. And I have straightened them out before on these, but and then reground new tips. You can do that if you need to. So there's the Cricut. Another one I have is a brand, it's called 405, and they make a fairly decent weeding tool. And I've got a couple different ones here. This one here, by design, has a little hook on the end. And then I have the pen with the replaceable tips on it. I like this quite a bit. I use this a lot. But we're going to see how the little cheap set weeding tools work. Got a little graphic here I just printed out. A couple things. Lay this on here so I don't stick my arm in the sticky stuff, because I like to weed stuff while it's still on the mat. Of course, I've got some pretty small graphics here I'm doing, and there's not a whole lot of weeding to do on this, but so yes, this does work adequately. It'll do the job. How much long the durability would work on it, I don't know for sure. But it's worth trying out. If nothing else, just for the paper trimmer. All these other little things I think are just kind of a bonus. So there are those three there. I'll get them over here, you can see them a little better. And I'll grab some of these other gizmos that came with it. You have a little pair of tweezers. This could also be used for a weeding tool. Nice little pick. This here has ball ends on it, and I'm not real sure what you would use that for. You have another pair of tweezers here with offset on them, and I'm going to be doing a video here pretty soon on some additional what I call tiny tools, and this kind of falls right into that tiny tool category. And you have these little tiny scissors that, boy, I don't think much of these, but they are what they are. They got kind of a bent tip on them. Hopefully you can see that. They're not straight, they have a little bit of a curve to them. It says stainless on them, but boy, just they're pretty wonky. So let me get this cut off of here and get it put on my little sign. Why is it when you need a small piece of transfer tape you can't find one? So I got to cut a little piece off this roll here. We'll use this cutter again. I only need it 3 7/8 wide. And only about 3 inches tall. Probably wondering what I'm making here. I'm making a little sign. And we'll even use a little squeegee that came with it. Something you need to get in the habit of is always put your protective sheet back on your cutting mats. You don't forget. This one you see laying here all the time is spoiled, so I just use that as a base mat here on the counter. Here's my sign. You get these at Dollar Tree for $1.25. Well, the surface of this has got a little bit of a pebble finish to it, so I'm wondering how well this is going to adhere. Of course, I had a dickens of a time getting this to stick to this transfer tape. I'm wondering if my transfer tape is like just old. This roll's been around for quite a few months. There we go. And I'm not even going to attempt to reuse that one. I usually reuse transfer tape, but hard as the time I had getting that to stick. So, yeah, in case you're wondering how much I sell coffee mugs for at craft shows, there's the answer. Okay, and again, we'll show you the other things that come with this. You get this squeegee here. It's filled on one side, plastic on the other. Not quite as stiff as what I normally use here, but I think my transfer tape was just old. I never had such a hard time with transfer tape. So you get the cutter, of course. You get 2 spare blades for it. You get this little, what I call a craft knife or X-Acto knife. I have several of these, but I got a little rack I keep on the table here. I'll probably put that in there. A couple little, these are pretty flexible, so you wouldn't be able to really use these to, well, this is a little stiff on the end here. You could also use this to bray your vinyl down. Get this little guy here with the spatula. You get this ruler with US on one side, metric on the other. Carrying bag. I think this is around $14. For the value, you can't beat it. The cutter works just absolutely perfect. And having that protractor built right into it is really handy. So there's a little overview of this inexpensive set. I'll put a link in the description on this, where to get one. I've got it on Amazon. I was just, if anything else, I was curious to how you could get that much stuff and if any of it would be any good. The paper trimmer is definitely good, and getting the extra blades with it is a plus. A couple of the other things are fine, and some of them are, well, I'll call them junk. But for the value, there again, you know, you get the Cricut one here. You're looking at $20 or more. Here for $14, you get the trimmer and all the other accessories that come with it. This transfer tape did not come with it, and I don't know what's up with this because I've never had that much trouble getting vinyl to transfer as I just had. And that vinyl I was using was a cutoff from some Oracle 651, so it wasn't cheap vinyl. So, yeah, that wasn't really part of this review though. But there again, a little bit of an overview of this inexpensive set. If you're just getting into crafting or that type of thing, and maybe you're on a budget and you'd like to have some of these tools, I think this would be a good investment. Now, nobody gave it to me. I bought it. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I was just curious. Thought I'd see how well this worked. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the loft above the shop on a rainy July day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.